And so when you're able to actually figure that out and understand the underlying pieces of what people are actually motivated by in life, it means that then you can coach them on literally anything. And now
welcome back, leaders, to the LeadHer Lounge. So today in the chair, we have the co-founder and COO of Solid Space and founder of Reconnect Detroit, where she helps high-growth startups scale with clarity and purpose. We love that here at the lounge. With over 25 years in technology and leadership, including 15 years at Rocket Mortgage and as a partner at Rocket Fiber, she's known for building high-performing teams and creating customer-focused solutions. Our guest is also the 99th president of the Detroit Executives Association and a passionate advocate for mental health, mentorship, and inclusive entrepreneurship. Let's welcome Christina Fair to the LeadHer Lounge.
Yay, thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, Taylor and I have seen you in different events as a guest speaker, panelist, and we always, honestly, we always love all the things that you share and your vulnerability and how real you are. So it's a pleasure that you are today in the chair.
Thank you so much. So
Yes.
happy to be here.
Yes. And also because I mentioned this earlier, this is a topic, the topic that we're going to dive in just a second. It's a topic that we are very passionate about. We always talked about in pretty much all our episodes, we cannot mention it. But it's good to have a different advocate, different person diving in.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to know what is something that is very unique in your leadership style.
So, as I grew throughout all of my leadership roles, I hit an inflection point, probably way later, honestly, than it should have happened. But in my case, it happened somewhere around my mid-30s when I was being coached in a direction that didn't feel aligned to me, and I couldn't figure out why. And it was really as my executive leadership role started to evolve. And so I spent some time really digging in to figure out how I truly actually wanted to show up as a leader and what I thought, my superpowers were. And for me, what it has come down to is empathetic leadership, like being able to lead. I always say I'm a soft, warm, huggy, yummy leader.
Love that.
But also being able to do that in a very direct and organic way. And so really starting to figure out how to embrace that part of me and not think of it as a negative, especially as a woman in executive leadership, was something I really had to start to work through.
Yes, I love what you're mentioning because what we usually, Teo and I in our company, we coached on team level leaders. Yeah. So they're no executives just yet. They're new leaders, emerging leaders. So they're very passionate. They have, they're very authentic and they know what they want in their leadership, journey. Yeah. But then they go to those executive roles and something happens. Yeah. It changes. Yeah. And you're mentioning that sometimes it's because of the leaders as well in the direction that they're giving.
Yeah, I think for most folks who grow up into especially like a first level leadership role, it doesn't usually happen on purpose. It doesn't happen intentionally. So what I've experienced, what I think most of my peer group has experienced is that you get the job, whether you're coming out of college or you just land in something accidentally or through a referral, and you happen to be an expert doer. You're like really, really good at the thing. So organically people start to come to you for advice and feedback. And then through that, the next evolution is your first step into leadership. And so in my experience personally, what that looked like is I did all the things that I was supposed to do. You're taking the leadership development classes and you're seeking out mentors, but at no point did anyone encourage me to dig deep into who I actually was as a person and figure out what do I want people to say about me when I'm not in the room to defend myself. You can give me every leadership book in the world, but if I don't know truly how I want to show up, then none of them could potentially resonate. Or I'm taking tips or tricks from all of them that actually aren't aligned to who I am as a person. And that's where those disconnects end up happening. Where, I'm not sure if you've had this experience, but perhaps like a leader has said something and you just look at them and it's like, that doesn't sound like something that should be coming out of your mouth.
Yes.
And those are the things that happen when you don't know how you're supposed to be showing up.
Yeah, not just a leader, people
People.
in general.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, so how did you found out that being an empathetic leader is something that was so in yourself that you wanted to continue to explore?
It's one of my favorite personal and professional moment combos.
Yes.
I was at this point an executive vice president at Rocket, and I was part of a massively large company project.
Yes.
And I had an architect peer of mine at the company, whose name was John. He's now my husband.
Oh my goodness.
But we worked on this project together, and at the end of the project, our CTO at the time came up to us at the Afterglow, like, congratulations party, and said, you two really need to start one-on-oneing, because Christina, you need to be more of a B word, and John, you need to be less of an A word.
Oh.
And so we started one-on-oneing.
Okay.
And it was the first time in our very first one-on-one, he looked at me and said, well, why do you feel like you need to be this more aggressive person? And I said, well, that's how I'm being coached right now. I'm being told that I have to be more direct. I have to be more gritty, all of these things. And he looked at me and said, and he was a brilliant technologist in the organization. And he said, Christina, you are a non-technologist leader in technology, and 2,500 people here would follow you to the ends of the earth because they know you love them. If you remove that part of yourself, you will lose followership because you don't have the technical chops to be able to inspire people to build the next greatest thing. You inspire them because they love you and they know they can trust you. And so you should spend some time thinking about that. And it was the first time I realized that anyone had ever asked me who I actually wanted to be. And it was very jarring. And so I that's when I really started to go deep, both in the personal side and all of the things. And through that, recognized that it wasn't that I had to be more of the B word, but I did have to learn how to be more direct in my feedback. I had to learn how to condense my directives to folks so that there was a very clear line between that warmth in me and getting shit done.
Yes.
And figuring out that unlock was game-changing for me.
Yes. Leadership is a balance in general. So 3 of our values in Monarch Coaching are, like, we call it the 3-legged stool, and we have an episode about it. It's about being empathetic while holding people accountable, while being your authentic self.
Yes.
When you have those 3 things, not that chair is going to be firm, it's going to be firm. But you do need to learn how to do all those things, because again, you cannot be fake.
No.
You can be fake for 2 days, 3 days. But what about those days where you're like angry at the world, something happens at home, you don't want to be fake, you just want to be real, and then the real you maybe is not the one that honestly nobody knows.
Yeah, exactly.
So thank you to John for that message, your husband, because it really helps, and that's the balance.
Right.
You have somebody that holds people accountable, but maybe don't know how to really send the message in a way that is going to connect to the person.
Right.
It's just like, I'm the boss, I'm the leader, this is the message. Yes, but, connect with me because I'm different than you. Yeah. Your message, even though you're delivering in a way that you understand, I might not be understanding the same way. The way that you give feedback, you like that way because it's your style, but it's not the way that I receive feedback well.
Yeah, exactly.
So adapt to me, please.
Yeah.
And that story, they have shared this a lot as well, because when she was a young leader in retail, her feedback was she was too empathetic. Yeah. She was like, you are too empathetic and you need to change. Yeah. But they never told her why that being empathetic was impacting her role. Right. And they never told her, okay, maybe try this, or hold them accountable in a way that you're still empathetic. No, they were like, you're too empathetic, you have to change. And she's like, that's who I am. Yeah. And until she got another job in another leadership role and somebody reinforced that being empathetic was something good, she was like very, like hurt. Yeah. Because that she needed to change something that was so in her personality. Right. So it's very similar. And I think a lot of people is going to tell our leaders, you are too empathetic, and yes, you might be, but like how you can balance that with other traits, leadership traits that would help.
And that was really the piece that I needed to understand, is that the empathy piece allows you to understand where people are coming from, their motives, their passions, who they are innately as a person, and to be able to understand how they would want to be led in any sort of situation. And so when you're able to actually figure that out and understand the underlying pieces of what people are actually motivated by in life, it means that then you can coach them on literally anything. And for me to know that I am doing people a disservice by not being direct with them. I can love them, and because I love them, it's my responsibility to help them grow into the next evolution of themselves, or to improve in a skill set or whatever it is. And so once I really figured that out, it was huge, because it allowed me to say, well, I don't want to talk to this person about this thing because I know they've got a lot going on at home. And so, no, in the end, I know you have a lot going on at home. And I also know you well enough to know that this is not how you want to show up here. And we've got to be able to reconcile both of those pieces. So how can I support you during this window? It's not avoidance, it's integration, right?
Yes, absolutely. And the last question that ties very well to what you're saying, you think that leaders are born with this trait of being empathetic, or this is something that you develop throughout your years of experience and feedback?
Right.
What do you think?
I think it is a combo of both. We talked a little bit about it outside. In the end, we are born with things that just come naturally to who we are. There's things that you're naturally good at. There's traits that you will work hard to be good at. And there's things that might always be a struggle for you. But no matter what, we all contain multitudes of all of those pieces. And what you focus on, you find.
Yes.
So if you're being raised in a home where empathy or feelings and all of that sort of emotional stuff is viewed negatively, then you're going to focus on becoming a very hardened person, because that's how you're being raised to become. And also, you could find yourself in another environment next week and see an example of something or someone that you want to be more like, and start to pull those traits back out of yourself. They're always there. They're just underneath the surface. And so I think naturally there are definitely there's people that are naturally more empathetic than others, and there's people that are more egotistical or pride driven than others, but we can each pull pieces of all of those out of ourselves if we focus on it.
And anything in life, like if you want it, we will want to learn it.
Right.
If we want to be a great leader, if we want to be a servant leader and be there for our people, we will know and recognize, okay, this is the things that people are giving me feedback about, so I need to improve in these things so I can be better. So yes, maybe some people are born being more empathetic, but if I know I lack of it, and it's important for so many people, all of us need more empathy, even if you are like not, we all need that. You can develop it.
Yes.
You can develop it. So thank you so much, because this topic is something that sometimes Taylor and I and some of other female leaders, we are like, is this something that just us want? And just listening and hearing you from a different perspective is just like so reassuring. So
I will tell, there's one quick story. I was asked to speak at a large scale fiber internet conference, probably about 5 or 6 years ago now. The largest fiber internet conference in the country, and I was asked to come and speak about client and team member experience. Yeah. So I arrived at the event. I was already kind of feeling off kilter, just one of those days. And I walked in, and it was like 99% older men and like a few women fluttering around, but that was it. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, this imposter syndrome fear crept up. And I was like, no one in this place wants to hear from me about team member experience. Nobody will care.
yes.
And so I mean, it was like borderline panic attack. And I called my husband from the corner of the conference room, and I was like, I can't do this. And he said, I need you to remember who you are. And I need you to know that even if there's only 2 people in that room who need to hear what you have to say, it will make an impact. And so you need to do it. Right place, right time. And so I walked into this speaker room, and at conferences, you get to opt in to whatever sessions you're going to. So I'm like, no one's going to be at my session. The session was packed full of people, standing room only. I did the event. People were asking questions, super engaged. And I came out at the end, and the woman said, one of the planners said, we'd like to do a meet and greet with you because there were a lot of people who didn't have a chance to ask questions. So she said, can I bring you around the corner to this little booth area? So I went around, and there was a line of probably 100 men in this line. And they were all like, we need help. We have worked at these companies that are 50 plus years old. We have never struggled with team member retention, and the team members now are different than they ever were. I don't know how to lead these people, and they're quitting, and I can't keep them, and I need help. And it was just this moment of like, the world is craving empathetic leaders in a time when everyone is feeling disconnected. Everyone is face and phone and can't communicate anymore. And the world needs empathy and people that listen and understand where they're coming from if they're going to lead good, productive companies moving forward. And for us all the people who have always been told you're too nice, you're too sweet, whatever, to know what a superpower that is, especially in this day and age, and to own it, but then work on the small pieces of yourself that you know that you really could hone in on in order to improve your strength and presence, because I think that's typically what's lacking for an empathetic person.
I love that story so much. It just wants me, I want to cry. Just because, yes, we are, in my last question, which you already answered, is how companies, organizations can benefit from companies like Monarch Coaching, companies that work on leadership development, to advocate for those empathetic leaders, or to create emotional intelligence leaders, more authentic. They can benefit, yes, totally, because especially with these generations, new generations, where people crave that meaningful work and purpose. And if you care about me, I care about the company. Right. Show me that you care. So we do need to change that mindset because the world is transforming. So how our leadership is not transforming as well. Right. So,
and for all these companies that think that you have an internal leadership development program and internal mentorship programs, cool. And I'm glad that you're doing something, because something is better than nothing. Yes. But also what happens in that environment then is that every person in your organization is capped at the top of whoever the leader is for that organization. Yes. There's no outside perspective coming in. There's no potential I could grow better by having a mentor on the outside because I resonate with them really well. And I wish more companies would open their eyes to that and understand the power of allowing your team members to explore a network that's outside of the organization and to find the people who are going to grow them, because your organization will only become that much stronger.
100%. Yeah. I want to have you here forever. I'm going to have you again.
Yeah, I'll come
if
back.
That's okay. Do you have, so in the description, below, we're going to have all her LinkedIn information, all the things that she wants to share with all of you, so you can reach out to her. Anything that you want to share, that you're, an event, anything that you're doing, anything that you want to share with the world, any last minute words, message, anything at all?
I always like to do a disclaimer this time of year. This is always, as a mom, and as a COO and a CEO and all the things, this is a hard time of year we're entering into, where we're approaching in the holiday season. The weather's going to shift and get gray, event overload, shopping, all the things, and you're feeling, pulled to really close your business out strong. This is always a very heavy time of year where you feel like you're not good enough in any one of those places. And so anytime I have an opportunity to speak this time of year, it's just to remember to take care of yourself and to carve time out for yourself. Yes. And to rely on all of your people and ask for help from each other and share how you're feeling, because no one is alone. And I think especially this year of all years, we all need to love on each other a little bit more.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Yes. So if you haven't subscribe and share this episode with anybody that you think that they have to say in the past, I'm too empathetic, I need to change that. Or maybe I don't believe in being an empathetic leader. Just share this episode with anybody. So maybe that change that perspective. We need to hear from more people like Christina and talk about more of these things and reinforce the message, because being an empathetic leader is important. It's very important, especially in this moment, this season as well. And thank you again to our friends at Velocity for this beautiful studio. And we will see you next week, leaders.
Thank you.